Good evening and welcome to a brand new episode of PSTV's high school sports show, Sports Rap Live. My name is Josh Zinzer.
And my name is Jack Moore. We have a great show coming up tonight. We're also going to discuss the spring sports that have been played over the past couple of weeks.
Later in the show, we'll show you an interview that we had with Beekmantown's varsity baseball coach, Eric Bell.
And that should be a very interesting interview. So we have a lot to discuss on tonight's show.
So please stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more Sports Rap Live right here on PSTV.
Welcome back to Sports Rap Live. The spring sports season has finally begun, and it already seems like it's going to be a great season.
That's true, and to start things off, we want to highlight some seniors that have been working pretty hard this year, not only because they've been working hard, but it is the spring season, and what comes with that is graduating. And a lot of them are going to be leaving their respective high schools, and a lot of people from even our college are leaving. So we wanted to give them a little shout out, and the person that I chose to highlight was Justin Stevens from Beekmantown, who plays in 3 different sports, which within itself is pretty impressive just because it takes a lot all season long to be working with school and be working with everything you have. And when he played football, he set so many records this last fall. He played in the championship game against Peru, which I was actually at. That was actually a great game that Peru ended up winning within the final minute. But last season he ran for over 1,963 yards, which was the record that he set, which he broke, ironically enough, he broke a Peru Indians record, which they set back in 1993, Sam Godfrey, who had 1,869. So that within itself, setting a record really sets like his mark. And then he also, obviously, like I said, he's currently playing baseball for Beekmantown, which we'll see him later in the episode. And he also played basketball. So that takes a lot, and I think it really deserves a shout-out, and I'm sure his school's going to miss him next year.
Yeah, most definitely. But the player I picked was also another record setter, Ben Frederick from Beekmantown. He played soccer and hockey for the team, and he played goalie for both teams. And he had 8 shutouts on the season, breaking the Section 7 record for hockey. And he was an absolute brick wall as well with soccer. He only let up 5 goals on the entire season, and he started in almost every game. So, you like to see a lot of that, the senior profiles doing so well in their senior season, because we both played high school sports, and that senior season really does mean a lot, especially since it all comes to an end this spring.
Yeah. It's true, and like we said, it's going to be really difficult for these teams to replace these players next season, so it's definitely going to be a headline going into the fall semester. Moving on, Plattsburgh High took on Northeastern Clinton last Friday, and even though the Hornets out-hit the Cougars, it wasn't enough to get them the victory. Plattsburgh opened up the game with 2 runs in the first inning, but Northeastern Clinton responded with 3 runs in the bottom of the first to take the lead. The Cougars went on to score 3 more runs in the next 3 innings, giving them a 12-6 lead after 4. Each team would score 1 more run in the game as it ended 13-7, favoring the Cougars.
The Beekmantown softball team took a major win in an extra inning nail-biter against Saranac Lake. The Eagles and the Red Storm fought hard, creating a tie game with 11 runs apiece by the 5th inning. With a scoreless 2 innings, the game was sent into extras. In the 8th inning, Saranac Lake posted 2 runs, making the victory seem imminent until the Eagles pulled out 3 in the bottom. The pitching victory went to Michaela LaFountain for Beekmantown, and the loss went to Saranac Lake's ace, Katie Burgess. The Eagles are once again off to a great start after advancing to the Class B state title game last season. And now, Saranac is one of those teams that we always see in softball here in Section 7. They have been destroying it. They have an ace pitcher, and they always win the section. Well, they have been recently for the past few years, and they seem to be posting up some pretty great stats. They have one of their batters, Gillespie. She's been batting .615, which is out of this world for the season.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely impressive. Anything over 500 to me is like astounding. To figure that more than half the times you go up to bat, you're going to get on base, that's definitely something that's going to help your team out down the stretch, and she's definitely doing it for her team.
Especially with the saying that if you can bat over 300 throughout your career, you make it to the Hall of Fame. So she's doubling that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good record. Beekmantown played up against Peru in a game at Peru's home field. So let's check out that game. Now this game starting right off the bat, you have a passed ball that gets by the catcher as Cody Cunningham goes in to score. And coming up next here, you got Colin Mrack misses the flip over to first. See here, gets the ball and he tries to give it over to the pitcher, but it just misses as that brings the second runner, goes down to second base, but gets thrown out right here, right at the end. Pretty close play. Just gets that tag in right there as his team gets all pumped up. Up next, Andy is on the mound for Peru. As Alex Price hits one deep to the outfield to get a run in for his team. Up next, you have Alex Price comes in to score, and he trips a bit going into the end here, but he just goes across the base, gets it in, still counts for him, so I'm sure he's happy. Picks up the bat, and he comes back as the final score. Beekmantown handles pretty well the Indians, 19-6, with 8 runs in that bottom of the 5th inning, which goes back to your whole team, again, being able to run through, being able to put through hits like that and string together all those hits together, bringing 8 runs in an inning. That takes a whole team, not just a few players, so it's definitely impressive.
Yeah, and it is also all about the mentality in the dugout, because once you see one of your players do well, if you start to get this momentum going, and as ludicrous as an 8-run inning seems, once you get that mentality going, it becomes contagious amongst the team, and it also gets inside the pitcher's head, and it just becomes a great experience for the team, being able to score like that.
Yeah.
We have to take a quick break, and when we return, we will continue to discuss some more spring sports.
So please stay tuned to Sports Wrap Live right here on PSTV.
Sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward. Like having a studio in Hawkins. I like to think about the television waves just floating through the air. Making connections with your brain synapses. PSTV.
Welcome back to SRL. We have a lot more baseball stories that we need to discuss.
And we also have some softball stories to discuss as well. And now the season is finally here. Baseball season is in full swing. Yes, the pun is intended. I'm really excited. So we're going to get with this right off the bat with all these stories.
Sure.
And it's been a lot of fun seeing a lot of these teams out there. Beekmantown once again being the powerhouse as we saw. They had that 8-run inning last time. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, when the weather is permitting.
Yeah, of course. There have been a lot of rainouts. But anyway,
Yeah.
Let's get started with this. The Plattsburgh Hornets recently played against Saranac Lake Red Storm. So let's take a look at it right now. All right now we're going to see Plattsburgh's catcher try to throw out the man stealing going over to second. He throws it, he successfully misses the tag, but the third baseman just scores. Anyway, here we go. We're going to see an RBI single for Saranac as Curtis Bordeaux is going to come in and slide in perfectly. Catcher misses the tag. Here we're going to see Matt Kratz with a nice base hit. Clocks it out into short center field. Makes it to first base, no problem. Here we're going to see Plattsburgh's Dan Hartman blast one deep to left field as he rounds first. No problem there with the stand-up double, but will he go for 3? He's rounding and, no, he says no. He just, nope, doesn't go for it. Here we go. Now we're going to see Alex Palmer at shortstop make a nice ground ball play and sends it right over to Hunter Bell for the easy out. Now we're going to see Hunter Bell right here. Hits it right through the gap for an RBI as Andrew Palmer, the shortstop, scores. The final score of this game was a complete blowout, 14-5 Plattsburgh. Plattsburgh getting 13 hits on the game, and Saranac Lake only having 6 on the game.
Mm-hmm. And definitely one person that I want to mention rather is a sophomore, and Andrew Beckard, again, he's having a great season, and his varsity total so far in his freshman and sophomore year, 390. And that's pretty good for someone who's just coming up and facing these varsity pitchers, whether they be juniors and seniors, people who have been here for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and he's actually a speed demon out there, too. He has 8 stolen bases on the season, so that's definitely good for the team being able to get in those RBIs.
Yeah. Plattsburgh High and Northeastern Clinton were caught up in a close contest last Thursday as the Hornets needed a run in the bottom of the 7th inning to win. The Cougars mounted a comeback as they held Plattsburgh scoreless following their 3-run first inning. In an attempt to come back, Northeastern Clinton strung together some hits from Alex Patry, David Sousa, and Cody Lacey to score 3 runs in the 6th inning to tie the game. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Beckard reached second following an error in the outfield. With that runner in scoring position, Fulmer was intentionally walked, and Whalen followed that up with a single to left field to load the bases. That was the last hit of the game as the game ended on a walk dealt by the pitcher Cameron Hurlbert that let in the final run to give the Hornets the win, 4-3.
We're going to take a look at our next story. Another low-scoring baseball matchup was laid out for us in the North Country. This time it was between Saranac and Northeastern Clinton. With only 1 run needed for victory, Nick Mather was able to pitch a full-game shutout, and Saranac was able to score early in the game, taking a second-inning lead. The second inning led off with a single and a stolen base from Logan Matthews, followed by a drag bunt from Josh Emerson to get him to third base. Then soon after, an error for Northeastern Clinton brought him home with ease. Mather finished with 8 strikeouts for Saranac, while Northeastern Clinton's Cameron Hurlbert shut down 8 as well in this pure pitcher's battle.
The Peru Indians softball team put their undefeated record on the line Friday as they played 1-1 Beekmantown Eagles. Though the temperatures were cold, that did not stop the hot bats from the Indians as they scored a total of 12 runs in the game versus the Eagles' 4. Peru pitcher Jade Ramos allowed 3 runs to start the game, but settled into the mound and only allowed 1 run over the next 6 innings, and finished the game with a total of 8 strikeouts. It's definitely what we want to see from one of your ace pitchers, is be able to come back from letting up a few runs in the beginning. And you always think when you get bases loaded and a few runs scoring, do you want to pull your starting pitcher and do you want to bring in a reliever in the first inning, which is always tough for a manager to make a decision. And it's good to see someone like that pull through and be able to only allow 1 run over the next few innings, as she did.
Yeah, and it's also really cool to see lots of full game shutouts too, because you can definitely feel see the mental battle that goes on through the pitcher's mind, especially with the arm getting more tired. And typically after those games, they tend to go home and ice it for a really long time. So it's good to see a lot of that effort being seen up here in Section 7.
Sure.
Up next is a game between Beekmantown and Saranac Lake, so let's check it out right now. Coming up now, we have Ryan Chris on the mound for Beekmantown. As Drew Sturgeon hits a double play ball, they make the play. Colton Marak scoops it out of the dirt, but then they think there's 3 outs, but all of a sudden he makes it home. So they made the wrong prediction on the amount of outs, creating Jack Martin's easy run there. Now we're going to see a line drive to short, as it almost catches it and makes it over to second. Now we're going to see Brantley Marion hits a 2 RBI single as he drives in 2. Now we're going to fast forward as Marion does make it to third as he scores off of a single from Brandon Provost, one of the best players in Section 7 at the time. Now coming in, we're going to have Justin Stevens hit a line drive to the outfield as Tyler Pepper goes in easily and scores. Another dominant game for Beekmantown as the final score ends up being 19-3, scoring 13 runs in the second inning.
There's my boy, Justin Stevens.
There he
is.
Senior. There he is. Yeah, they played a great game with Beekmantown. Once again, they've been the powerhouse here in Section 7 and scoring 13 runs in the second inning. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that comes back to team play again, and that's really impressive to see 13 runs especially. A little more than the 8 they had in my game, but yeah, it's still really impressive.
Yeah, you can definitely see a lot of the improvement coming their way.
Mm-hmm.
The Peru and Plattsburgh High baseball teams faced off in a heated Section 7 rivalry game. In the low-scoring matchup, Andy Newsell, the senior ace from Peru, was lights out, striking out 7, pitching a full-game shutout. Of the last 14 batters, he retired 12 of them. His catcher, Blake Altizer, was able to give him some support in the second inning with a nice home run that was estimated to be hit at 370 feet. That's pretty amazing. After an error from Plattsburgh High in the third inning, Camden Rock of Peru was able to score the second and final run for the Indians. For the Hornets, Garrett Ritzma received the loss, but still had a notable outing, only letting up 1 earned run on 5 hits and 3 strikeouts. Thanks to the work of Andy Newsell, who just recently committed to Canisius College, the Peru Indians remain undefeated in the CVAC competition.
Now, something I want to make note of quick is that Altizer in that game has the only recorded home run so far this season in the division. And like you said, at 370-plus feet, that's definitely something to be notable of. And he's another one of our athletes that plays 2 different sports. And like Justin Stevens, he also set a record in his senior season playing football, which was the game after that championship game that I mentioned earlier, where he has 71 career touchdown passes in his high school career, and that passed the second place, which had 70. And he also is 4th now all-time during the season for touchdown passes, where he has 26. Coming up, we'll discuss some more baseball games here on SRL.
And we also interviewed the Beekmantown Eagles baseball coach, so please stay tuned and we'll be right back.
I'm Layla, and I watch PSTV. I'm decrepit Layla. I don't watch PSTV. PSTV is never dull. With over 10 shows, you'll never miss a beat. Because I don't watch PSTV, I watch people sleep. With over 30,000 viewers, PSTV is quite refreshing. Like fresh flowers.
Don't be like decrepit Layla. Watch PSTV.
Hi there, my name is Rashid, and I'm the co-creator, only writer, Season 1 talent, and current producer of the PSTV original series, The Station. You know, just bringing up the name conjures up so many good memories from Season 1.
I think he took my cookies.
Anyway, you're probably wondering, what are we going to do for Season 2? Are we finally going to have that robot? Is Mike going to shave his head?
Find out next time on The Station.
Welcome back to SRL. There's some more spring sports that we haven't discussed yet, so let's get right to it.
Mariah took to their own green as they faced Ticonderoga at the Mariah Country Club last Thursday. Joe Stahl for Mariah finished at 3 over par to lead the Vikings past the Sentinels in the Champlain Valley Athletic Conference last Friday. Stahl took on Connor Lowry and won 35-63. In the number 2 match, Mariah's Kyle Wilson defeated Joel Cook by 8 strokes to win 39-47. His teammate Ryan Munson shot a 48 on the day and helped his team to a 3-game sweep as he won 48-50 against Duncan Bryan. The Sentinels won 1 match as Darby Guay slipped past Nick Rotella 54-57. Mariah ended up winning the contest 5-1.
Moving on back to baseball, Beekmantown had a high-scoring away matchup last week, taking on Ticonderoga, taking a 4-0 lead early on. The Eagles retained the lead throughout, and the closest the Sentinels came was when Brody Roque smacked a 2-run homer in the top of the 4th inning. Beekmantown was able to capitalize on 3 more runs, while Ticonderoga scrapped out 1 more run later in the game. Both Alex Price and Ryan Chris from Beekmantown had doubles, while Brantley Marion had 9 strikeouts, earning the win with the final score at 7-3.
We recently sat down and interviewed Beekmantown's head coach, Eric Bell. Let's take a look at that interview.
Thanks, guys. Good afternoon. I'm Rochelle Antoinette, and I'm here with the Beekmantown Eagles baseball coach, Eric Bell. How's it going?
It's going very well.
How essential is it to see your players improve on the practice field and on the actual game field?
We stress every single day to get better. We don't want to waste one day. We want to get better every single day because we realize our competition is coming for us. At this point in time, we're 6-0 in CVAC and in first place, but we realize that Peru and Plattsburgh are right behind us with only one loss. So it's very important for us to get better every day. And last year we ended our season on a loss in the sectional semifinals. We won the CVAC last year with a 9-1 record in CVAC, and went into sectionals and lost in our first round playing. We had a first round bye, we played in the semifinals. So that's kind of fueled our fire a little bit. We have 8 returners, so they remember that day, and they remember that even though things are going well during the season, you have to win every single game come postseason. So we stress every day to get better.
Are there any records that you guys are trying to break this season?
We aren't trying to break any personal records per se. We got guys that could. I got extremely talented players from top to bottom. We have 14 guys on this team, and 1 through 14 are extremely talented. I'm a very lucky coach. But as far as personal records, we're not shooting for any. Team records, the only team records we're shooting for is a CVAC championship, sectional championship, and then moving on from there. Taking it day by day from here on out. But those are not per se records, but that's our goals. We don't have any specific records we're shooting for.
How important is a win or the next win for the team?
Yeah, we stress, we were very up and emotional and focused going into the Peru game, and I could see it with our guys. We were itching because we knew that they were undefeated at the time. We were undefeated in the CVAC play. So our guys are very focused and intense going into that game, and I want that every game. So I stress, my assistant coach, Coach Manny, stresses that each game in the CVAC matters the same. So whether it's a win versus Peru or a win against one of the weaker teams in the CVAC, they all mean the same. So every day we go into the game looking to win and give it our biggest focus, bring our emotions to the field, be fired up for the game, and give it everything we have. In baseball, it's a short season time-wise. We play 20 regular season games, but it's all within a span of a month and a half. So we tell the kids, enjoy it while it lasts, give it everything you got while it lasts, because a month and a half flies by. It flies right by, and so to keep the kids focused and fired up, that way they don't blink and it's gone. So try to get them to focus every game.
Well, I want to thank the Beekmantown Eagles for this interview. I hope you guys do very well within the season, and back to you guys in the studio.
We would like to thank Coach Eric Bell for joining us here on Sports Wrap Live. And now coming up after this, we're going to have our games of the week.
So please stay tuned to SRL here on PSTV.
Dude, why are you running so slow?
Welcome back, and now it's time to discuss our games of the week. But first I want to mention, since this is our last episode, we're not going to be able to see the baseball and softball playoffs. So it's kind of tough for us to not be able to cover that the way we're used to with basketball and all the other sports. So we'd just like to give a quick shout out to all the teams so far this season, since we can't really focus on the ones who go further than the playoffs and the teams end up winning the championships. So quick shout out to all those teams and to all those seniors as we previously mentioned. But moving on now, we go to our games of the week, and Jack, you're up.
All right. The Plattsburgh High baseball team came from behind to beat Ticonderoga in an extremely close game. Trailing in the 7th inning 3-2 with 2 outs left, the pressure was on. Andrew Beckard came up clutch, delivering an RBI single to tie it all up and extend the game. In the 8th inning, which was extras at the time, Mike Stetz from Plattsburgh had a sacrifice fly to take the lead. Garrett Retzma had 2 strikeouts in the 8th inning to shut down the Sentinels in the end. Retzma also struck out 5 on the day and was credited with the win. Andrew Beckhardt had 3 hits, 2 of them being doubles, and Ryan Whalen had 2 base hits on the game. Final score, 4-3 Plattsburgh High. Now, that was pretty fantastic, coming up absolutely clutch. You know, whenever you're playing baseball in your backyard with your friends, it was like, bottom of the last inning, 2 outs, everything's loaded. He came up clutch, and he probably just lived out one of his dreams he had as a little kid.
Yeah, that's great to see. Moving on now, we're going to wrap things up with a highlight with a game between AuSable Valley and Lake Placid. So let's check that out. Starting things off here, number 17 up to bat. Ball gets by as number 2, Chris Williams, comes in to score for AuSable Valley. Moving on now, number 24 hits a stand-up RBI double, and coming in around the bases, you'll see number 10 rounding third right here, trips up, but gets his footing back and crosses home plate for AuSable Valley. Up next, number 12 hits a solid RBI right down the middle of the field as number 3 comes in to score for AuSable Valley, as the Patriots are getting a lot of easy runs coming in here. And here, Ryan Damp gets robbed in the outfield. Great catch by the center fielder. You see, pans over, gets the catch. Great catch there as they run in for the 3rd out. Here you see number 19 gets a grounder through the gap as an RBI comes in, as number 2 comes in to score, as AuSable Valley gets the victory here, 5-4. And as that highlight wraps up, that wraps up all the time we have here on SRL.
We would also like to thank all the people here on SRL that made the show great this semester. We had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and also a shout out to all the teams, all the different games that we've been to this semester, all the players, and the coach that we interviewed. Thank you, all of you, for all of your help this semester and all of basically everything. So I'm Josh Zinzer.
And my name is Jack Moore.
Have a good night.